Welcome to this edition of Mental Health Moments. We hope the mental health news and information shared here will empower you and your family to get on or stay on a journey towards wellness, mind, body, spirit, and soul. I'm Dr. Beverly Sargent, Director of the District Heights Family and Youth Services Bureau. The Youth Services Bureau, or YSB, provides mental behavioral health counseling to children, youth, and families. The Youth Development Foundation is gearing up for the third annual My Soul Knows 5K Walk Run virtual walk run. You can register now for the 5K. The web address is at the bottom of your screen. My Soul Knows registration fee helps provide food and counseling at low to no cost for many clients. The 5K is Saturday, September 21 at 9 a.m. at 2000 Marbury Drive, District Heights, Maryland. Every month this year, we've shared just one truth to help you stop smoking or never start this unhealthy habit. Stay tuned to hear from Dave Dobbins, the Chief Operating Officer for the Truth Initiative.
So tell me, what is the Truth Initiative?
So Truth Initiative is an organization that was formed in the very late 90s out of a settlement agreement between the states and the tobacco industry. And the tobacco industry gave the states a whole bunch of money, and most of that money has been spent on things states spend money on, like Medicaid cost and roads, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But the attorneys general, when they did the agreement, set aside a pot of money to be used for a national organization that would do youth smoking and tobacco prevention. And originally they called that the MSA Foundation because that agreement was the Master Settlement Agreement. Mm-hmm. And then we were for a while called the American Legacy Foundation. Some people may have heard of that, but now we're the Truth Initiative, which corresponds to the name of our main signature program, which is our youth prevention effort called the Truth Campaign.
Okay. Well, you might have just answered my next two questions, actually. But who is the target audience?
So we're looking mainly at young people. Okay. Traditionally, when we started out, we were looking for about 13 to 18. Mm-hmm. But what's interesting is tobacco has evolved, and in the last 20 years that we've been doing this work, we've seen that the age when people start has gotten a little older. So we've pushed our target up a little bit to correspond with that. Another thing that we're seeing, this corresponds with what we're seeing in the States to try to move the age of tobacco use up to 21. Mm-hmm. So we're trying to reach young people. We're trying to convince them that they don't need tobacco or nicotine in their lives.
Yeah. Well, how challenging is it to get your message across to this age group?
Oh, it's tremendously challenging. I mean, we were both 15 to 21 in our lives, and if I recall correctly, I didn't listen to anybody.
Right.
But one thing you have to do, and this is important, you can't tell young people what to do. Mm-hmm. You have to give them information. You have to treat them as agents, which they are, and respect them. That's why we're the Truth Campaign. We tell the truth. We give them information that they might not have known or may have even been deliberately withheld from them. Mm-hmm. And they will make their decisions. And we have faith in them that many, many times, if they're well informed, they will make the right ones.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you make a good point that it's, you can't tell them what to do. You can just give them the truth and tell them how smoking impacts their lives and their bodies. Mind, I like to say mind, body, spirit, and soul. So how do you get that message across?
It's funny that you say spirit and soul also. I'll answer the question, but I grew up in a family of Southern Baptist ministers,
okay.
And my grandfather used to say, smoking won't send you to hell, but it'll make you smell like you've been there, which is something I like to repeat.
Yeah.
Look, kids, you got to find them where they are. Mm-hmm. And when we started, where they were was watching TV, and we tried to advertise in places where they watched, like MTV and Adult Swim, and shows that kids would like, and that still works, but increasingly the modes of communication are digital. It's YouTube, it's Snapchat, it's Facebook, it's Twitter, and this changes rapidly. In just the last 3 or 4 years, the way we buy media, the way we address our audience has radically changed, and that's true for us. We're in the communication business, just as it's true for people trying to sell soap. You have to find your audience. Again, for us, the primary modality is we make our messaging fun. We don't want to make it painful to watch. We speak with a youth voice because we're talking to them, and we listen to them as we form our messages to try to figure out what is going on in their lives. What are they thinking about? How can we address their concerns? And then we tell the truth. It's respect. You have to respect the person you're talking to, no matter what age they are.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's turn just a little bit. I'm curious what the Truth Initiative says about vaping and juuling, because I've heard, maybe a lot of our viewers has also heard radio ads where it's encouraging juuling over cigarette smoking. And what does the Truth Initiative say about that?
The products as they've existed, vape products and particularly Juul, despite the rhetoric that they're for people to switch, their growth has been almost entirely generated through youth use. We found in a study of ours that young people, 15 to 17-year-olds, were 16 times more likely to have used a Juul in the last 30 days than people 25 or older. It's really easy to see who's buying them and who isn't. And for a kid, this produces a lot of risk. The younger you are, the more susceptible you are to addiction. I'll just say, how many people do you know, turned 30 and decided to take up a cigarette habit? Nobody does that. You take it up when you're a kid, or when maybe if you're a little older, you do it in college. Part of that is you take more risks when you're younger, but part of that is just in brain development. Your brain isn't fully developed till you're 25, and you're particularly susceptible to having those pleasure centers in your head hit. And when we talk to young people who've used Juul, and they're new. They're not somebody who was smoking cigarettes and decided to switch to Juul. They found it at a party, or they got curious and they tried it on their own. They got addicted by surprise. They found out, they used it. A couple of weeks later, they found out they were using it a lot. They were sneaking into the bathroom to use it. Then they found out they were waking up in the middle of the night to use it. Then they were finding out if they left it behind one day, they felt really bad and they couldn't concentrate, and it was messing up their lives. Like, how did this happen? I didn't sign up for this. Some of them, over 2/3, don't even know there's nicotine in it. They just thought it was something fun at a party. I want kids to know, look, do you want to put yourself, do you want to give up your control to this thing that looks like a USB pin that you have to hit all the time? Or do you want to be in charge? And who's benefiting if you're not in charge? Who's collecting that $40 you spend every time you go to the 7-Eleven to buy more? That's just the truth. You got to figure it out.
You've given me some good questions to ask my next client. What keeps you up at night? What about your job or your message keeps you up at night?
I think what we're just talking about is that kids are getting into this and they don't really know what they're being exposed to and the risks they're taking. Another thing that I want to know is I want the people that are watching, the parents and the educators, to understand, what are these things? What do they look like? A Juul looks like a USB key that you plug into your computer. For a long time, and still now, a kid can use it in school and nobody will even know what they're doing. If we want to be good parents to our kids, and if we want to understand what's in the product, if we're thinking about using it, you got to be informed. And I just want to reach as many people as we can. I also worry that in the last big public data set we saw, more than 20% of high school students were using this thing in the last 30 days. What are we doing if we subject a generation of kids to addiction? Is it going to stop with the Juul pen? Is it going to be cigarettes? Is it going to move on to the next thing? Because we've seen exposing young people to addiction that hasn't led to good results.
Right, absolutely. What's the one message you want to get across through to our viewers? Maybe I didn't mention it or didn't ask you a question that leads you to that. So, like, what's the one take-home message?
What I always say, and I know it sounds trite, but knowledge is power. And, you know, the more you know, the smarter you'll be. And as I said to you before, kids aren't stupid. Right. You can respect them. Know that this thing is addictive. Know that it can get into your life in a way that you may think you're immune to, but you're not. And for the parents and the educators out there, make sure you know what's going on in your schools. Make sure you can recognize this, and make sure you stand in a position to be a good advisor and leader to the young people that you're working with.
Mr. Dobbins, thank you.
Thank you
so much. I really appreciate your time and opening up your organization to us and allowing me to come and just ask you so many questions. But it's really been great. It's been informative, and I know our viewers are going to benefit from this. Thank you so much.
It was absolutely my pleasure, and I'm really happy that we're able to talk to the people of Prince George's County.
I found his thoughts to be very informative. I hope you did too. To learn more, visit their website at truthinitiative.com. The bottom line is, smoking can kill you. Why take the chance? Visit their website for more info. The Youth Services Bureau has a chart of 15 smartphone apps parents should be aware of. We will soon put this information on Facebook. In the meantime, feel free to drop by and pick up a copy. Let's work together to keep your child safe, on and offline. If you or someone you know is in crisis, call the Maryland Crisis Line at 1-800-422-0009, the Suicide Hotline at 301-864-7130, or the General Support Line, 211. You don't have to be alone. You don't have to be sad. There is help every day, all day, and all night. Remember, your mental health and your children's mental health matters. The District Heights Family and Youth Services Bureau is your YSB, and our sole purpose is to serve you.